I'm just going to do this. And however it comes off, it comes off. I'm doing another video on the flat earth. The last video I did on the flat earth, a lot of you left some what I would call pretty ignorant comments, okay? I agree that the idea of the flat earth is a pretty bizarre concept, that it contradicts most of modern science, that majority of people in the world would say that you're crazy, that it's a crazy conspiracy theory. But that's not the point. The point is not about whether the earth is round or flat. Some of you missed the point of the video, which is that you should question your beliefs and that you can't know things for 100% certainty. Most common response I got from this video was, I'm 100% certain the earth is round and you are an idiot. Everything that you believe in is something that you have either observed with your senses or someone has told you. Okay, and when I say told you, it could mean that you read a book. It could mean that you got told, firsthand, or whatever it is, right? You've acquired that knowledge from someone else. So it's the only two ways to acquire knowledge. The third way would be that it's not acquired, but you could have instinct. We have certain instincts. A lot of animals have instincts. So let's talk about the first one. Okay, the first one is getting information from other people. All right, now I'm going to give you some information. I'm actually going to Google some shit for you because some of you just, I don't know. You don't have the fucking Google skills because you can't type in proof for a flat earth, or you can't look up the evidence because you claim that the flat earth people have no evidence, which again, I'm not a flat earther, okay, but I'll give them a 5% probability that they're correct and a 95% probability that they're wrong and the earth is round, okay? Some of you say that's too fucking generous and that's crazy that I would give it that much of a probability, but if you do the research, I would say that, maybe you give it a 1% or whatever, maybe you give it a 10 or 20, but it's pretty reasonable to give it some amount of credence because there's a lot of evidence that they've compiled and a lot of explanations that they've come up with that could show why the earth could possibly be flat. First of all, at a very basic level, have you ever been lied to? Okay, yes. Has a government agency ever lied to the population in general? Yes. In fact, the U.S. government, if we look out throughout history, there's a lot of scary shit that the government did they lied about. Okay, the Tuskegee experiment, right? There was instances of infecting black men with sickle cell anemia on purpose. There were so many things that we did as a government, that the United States government did, that they covered up, that were just blatant lies to people, actually, that were horrific things. Again, I'm not a conspiracy theorist, but I'm just saying that there's a lot of bad shit that we've been lied to. Not only that, have you ever been wrong? Do you think that science has ever been wrong? Okay, there's plenty of examples throughout history of this. If we look at the person, I forget his name now, but you can look up the story, you probably heard this before, of the guy that really discovered disease or bacteria or infection, okay? He was a doctor, and there was a hospital where the doctors that would go over there, they would go from the morgue, actually, and then they would go and give birth, or help women give birth, and they would have a very, very high mortality rate where women would die in childbirth or shortly after childbirth, and they didn't know why, okay? But this guy theorized that it was because the doctors weren't washing their hands. They needed to wash their hands. So he started washing their hands. He actually ended up even, completely tanking that mortality rate, okay, in the hospitals which he was able to do this. But everyone thought he was an idiot. They laughed at him. They thought it was ridiculous. They thought gentlemen shouldn't have to wash their hands. They basically thought he was a complete lunatic, when he was the only one that was correct, even though all of modern science said that he was wrong. My whole point is that just because someone says something, just because there's scientific fact behind it, doesn't make it true. I could cite you so many examples in scientific experiments that were fudged, in scientific experiments that were performed correctly, in scientific experiments where the result was later disproven. All right, we have a ton of those in the medical community. We have a ton of those in the scientific community. There's placebo effect. There's a ton of stuff that just, it doesn't add up and it doesn't even make sense. I mean, just the concept of the placebo effect alone is just a bizarre thing. I mean, can our mind actually affect our body? It's scientifically accepted to be true, but we don't understand the mechanism for it. Just because you've acquired that knowledge from somewhere else does not make it true and does not make it infallible. All of the knowledge that you probably have about the earth being round, you probably did not directly acquire. You probably got that knowledge from textbooks, from school, other people that have told you this, but you haven't directly experienced it yourself. Now, the second one, so maybe you experimented and you saw gravity or the curvature of the earth or something like that. Can you even trust what you see with your own eyes and hear with your own ears and touch with your own hands? And my argument for that is no, you can't even trust that. Have you ever seen an up-close magician? Okay, if you haven't, you should go check it out. You should go and find a place where they have performances from up-close magicians. I've seen several of them. And in fact, when I was in Barcelona, I did a meetup for you guys that are part of the community. And we actually had a magician come up to us while we were in Barcelona, and he started doing these up-close magic tricks, and he did them right in front of me. He involved me in a lot of the tricks. I was amazed. I mean, if I trusted my senses, if I trusted my sense of vision and my sense of touch, I would have to believe that this guy was pulling coins out of thin air. That's the thing that I want you guys to understand is, like, how do you know that you're not ignorant? How do you know? Okay, you might say, well, there's so much evidence and so much correlating evidence. And I agree. There's a lot of evidence that would show that the earth is round, and a reasonable person presented with that evidence would believe that the earth is round. But let me do a little bit of a thought experiment for you. Suppose that you had never been taught that the earth was round, and instead you'd been taught that the earth was flat, and I gave you all the evidence that the flat earthers have for the earth being flat. Then when someone started telling you that the earth was round and started presenting some evidence that the earth was round, you would be in the exact position that you're in now. A lot of you, again, I'm talking to some of you already get this, but a lot of you would be commenting and yelling and saying how I'm an idiot because how could I even suggest that the earth is round? So let me do some Googling for you guys. Again, we'll take a look here. I'm trying to do, this is my least offensive recording of this video, by the way. I basically spent a couple of videos when I was recording this calling you guys fucking idiots and ranting about how retarded you are. But, you know, that's probably not going to be very, very productive. And I've cooled down a little bit. Actually, I didn't get super upset, but I was trying to make a dramatic video to try and grab your guys' attention. But, you know, I don't know. I figure let's just be authentic and have a nice talk here. So I'm going to kind of go through the comments here. You can just, you could take a look at the comments of this video. It's kind of crazy. Just, what I would call the level of ignorance. Some of it is like this one. I've researched a bit about both possibilities, and I found that the flat earthers do not offer any logical reasons. Okay, that's not true. You haven't done it. Okay, Doug had a good response. Flat earthers offer nothing but logical reasons. In fact, I understand that, you guys don't know how to Google. So I'm going to show you how to Google. All right, so here's what you do. Evidence for a flat earth. Okay, we search this. And look, all right, so, flat earth frequently asked questions. There's a ton of information here. You can look at this. What evidence do you have, right? Okay, so they've got, a list of the evidence there. What does the earth look like? How's it circumnavigation possible? They explain the seasons and how the sun and moon can operate and all of these things, okay? Again, you don't have to believe all this stuff, but they've got some pretty decent arguments. Okay, we could go in and so to say that there's nothing that's just ridiculous. Like if you think that there's no proofs that they have, you haven't looked it up. All right, there's 100 proofs here. Okay, and you can look at these, and I don't think you've debunked all of these things. So to say that you're 100% certain when you haven't read all this stuff and debunked it all is kind of ridiculous. That's more ridiculous than believing that the Earth is flat. Again, I'm not saying that the earth is flat. I'm just saying that, you should probably, have at least some doubt in your theory of the earth being round, right? Enough to say that, okay, it's possible that the earth is flat. Like these guys have some kind of a rational argument for this. Okay, so there's plenty of stuff here, and you could look at, there's a good YouTube video someone pointed out. It's called Flat Earth Proofs, 29 Reasons to Question Your World, full documentary. So go check that out. I'll put a link in the description, but it's in the comments as well. And just watch that. You don't have to watch the whole thing, but it's kind of long. It's like an hour and a half or so. But there's a lot of evidence. Okay, there's a lot of evidence, and that's my whole point. Okay, is again, I'm not trying to convince you guys of this, but I want you to stop. Stop thinking inside the box, so tightly believing everything that you've been told, because it could be wrong. All right, there's a lot of things that we believe 100% that are wrong. That's why I said, again, one of the biggest things I said in the past video, was that it's important to not have very many beliefs, because because beliefs are hard to get rid of, right? Beliefs you tend to defend, you tend to hang on, you tend to take personally when someone attacks your quote beliefs. It's like they're attacking you. Where if you don't have beliefs, but you just have probabilities of something being true or false, you might, someone might tell you something that contradicts that, and you might say, well, you know what, I'm 95% sure that this is how it is, so that's fine. But you don't have to defend that, right? You're still open. When you have a belief, when you say I'm 100% certain of something, it's a dangerous place to be. There's very few things in life that I would claim to be 100% certain of. Okay, like I said, I can't even trust my own senses, right? I don't know if we're even living in a virtual world, right? A lot of smart people have claimed that we're probably living in some kind of a simulation, which makes a lot of sense when you think about those arguments. My whole point is just to address the ignorance, right? If you can observe that you're being ignorant, that's the greatest gift that you can have. Okay, because we're all ignorant. We all have ignorances about a lot of different things. There's a lot of things that we hold to be beliefs that we are wrong about. And the secret to growing, the secret to really becoming successful in life, is realizing those areas and filling in the gaps, filling in the knowledge, growing, okay, and moving in a forward direction. If you know it all, if you've already got it all figured out, there's nothing you can grow. There's nothing you can learn from. Maybe, in the future, we'll have some conclusive evidence one way or the other. I think one person had commented about how NASA is planning a trip back to the moon in the next 3 or 4 years. Okay, that'll be cool if they do that. And, it would be impossible to pull off the hoax, and a hoax of any kind at this point. We'd be able to prove it for sure, and it'd set all this to rest. Okay, but we'll see what happens. That's the key thing here. So yeah, let me know what you think about this, right? If you've changed your mind and you're realizing that there's some probability to this, I'd like to hear it. If you're still adamant that the Earth is 100% round and there's no way that anyone's ever convincing you otherwise because of quote science, well, I don't know. There's not much I can do for you. You're probably not going to be very successful in life. You're just going to, you might be really smart and you might get some kind of really good job as an engineer or computer programmer or scientist or something like that. But, where it counts in life, actually, like, really, really being more than just a mediocre person, you really just don't have much chance. So I don't know. There's nothing I can really do for you. I'll talk to you next time. Take care.